You ever notice how the human species walks around like it's the crown jewel of creation? Like we're God's favorite little project? Meanwhile, we're the only species smart enough to invent plastic and stupid enough to choke the planet with it. They say, a God made man in his image. Really? So what are we saying here? That God's got bad credit, road rage, and a Netflix addiction. Maybe the big joke isn't that God made man. Maybe it's that he gave us just enough intelligence to screw everything up, but not enough to fix it. We call ourselves advanced. We've got satellites, smartphones, AI. But we can't manage basic kindness or common sense. We pray for peace while building bombs. We save whales but kill each other over invisible borders. If there is a God watching us, he's not angry, he's laughing. Laughing his divine ass off watching his little experiment of talking monkeys trying to run the show. Maybe the real punchline of creation is this: the human species isn't the image of God. It's God's favorite sitcom. You ever stop to think about how full of ourselves we are as a species? Humans, the great, mighty, intelligent rulers of the earth. That's what we keep telling ourselves. We're the top of the food chain, the smartest things to ever crawl out of the mud. We build cities, we fly in airplanes, we go to the moon, we make Wi-Fi. So we must be brilliant, right? Yeah. We're so brilliant that we built nuclear bombs we can't even safely store, and we keep arguing about who gets to push the button first. We're geniuses, folks, real high IQ creatures. You ever hear people say, we're made in God's image? Oh, really? That's nice. That means God must have high blood pressure, bad knees, and an Amazon Prime subscription. Because look at us. We lie, cheat, steal, burn down forests, and call it a progress. We kill millions in wars and then give each other peace prizes for trying to clean up the mess. If that's God's image, then maybe he's got a weird sense of humor. Maybe he's up there laughing his holy ass off saying, oh, look at these clowns. I gave them brains and they used it to invent TikTok filters and assault rifles. We've got this strange arrogance that everything revolves around us. We think the universe was created just so we could have somewhere to park our SUVs. The earth? Oh, it's ours. The animals? Ours. The air, the water, the trees. All ours. We think owning stuff is the same as understanding it. We buy land, chop it down, build malls, and then get depressed that nature doesn't love us anymore. Yeah, maybe it doesn't. Maybe nature's just tired of babysitting a species that doesn't know when to shut up and clean its room. And you know what's funny? We call ourselves a civilized. That's my favorite one. We're a civilized. You ever look at human history? It's a long, bloody highlight reel of who killed who conquered who, and who's pretending to be the good guy this week. We're a species that built empires on bones and blood, then wrote history books that say, and then we discovered America. Discovered, like nobody was there. That's how full of ourselves we are. We show up somewhere, plant a flag, and call it ours. That's not discovery, that's theft with better marketing. We love to brag about intelligence. We're the smartest species alive. Yeah. Then how come we spend billions of dollars trying to find life on other planets while we can't figure out how to keep the one we live on alive? We dump trash in the ocean, cut down the lungs of the planet, poison the air, and then act shocked when nature bites back. Hurricanes, wildfires, floods. That's not Mother Nature being angry. That's Mother Nature sighing, oh, these idiots again. We think we're in control of everything. We build machines to control the weather, we modify food, we play God with DNA. And we still can't agree on what's true on the internet. We've got people arguing if the earth is flat, if vaccines work, if facts are real. And these are the same folks holding down jobs, driving cars, and voting. Yeah, that's human brilliance for you. A species that can split the atom but can't split a dinner bill without starting a fight. You know what else shows our arrogance? The way we talk about is saving the planet. That's adorable. Save the planet, folks. The planet doesn't need saving. We do. The planet will be just fine. It's been through ice ages, meteors, volcanoes, and dinosaurs. It can handle us. If we disappear tomorrow, the Earth would take a deep breath, stretch a little, and start cleaning up the mess. The forests would grow back, the rivers would clear, the air would heal, and all the animals would finally stop hiding from the humans. In 1,000 years, there'd be no trace of us except a few plastic bottles and a bunch of YouTube clips floating in the data void. But no, we don't see it that way. We think we're special. We think the universe was designed around our calendar and our favorite brand of soda. We build telescopes, find stars billions of light years away, and still think some cosmic force made all that just to keep an eye on us. Out of all the galaxies, black holes, and exploding suns, we think we're the main character. That's like an ant thinking the highway was built just so it can cross the road. We're not special. We're temporary. A blip, a noise in the cosmic background. And you can't even tell people that without them getting offended. How dare you say humans aren't important? Important to who? We've been here for what? A few 100,000 years? The Earth is 4.5 billion years old. If the planet's timeline were a 24-hour day, humans showed up in the last few seconds before midnight. And we've already managed to break almost everything. That's not importance, that's bad behavior. We talk about evolution like it's a trophy we won. We evolved, yeah, and look what we evolved into. Creatures who need therapy because our Wi-Fi is slow. We're supposed to be the smartest life form. But we spend most of our time staring at screens, fighting over opinions, and buying things we don't need with money we don't have. If that's intelligence, then maybe the dolphins got it right. And yet we still walk around with our chest puffed out, acting like we're the best thing that ever happened to the universe. We write poetry about ourselves, sing songs about ourselves, build statues of ourselves. We can't even take a picture without being in it. Every generation thinks it's the most important one. Every culture thinks it's the chosen one. And every person thinks they're the hero of their own little story. Meanwhile, the universe doesn't even notice. Stars are exploding, galaxies are colliding, and we're down here arguing about who gets the last slice of pizza. Maybe that's what makes us funny and tragic. We're so proud of being human, and yet everything we do proves we're not quite finished as a species. We're the only creature smart enough to dream and dumb enough to destroy what we dream about. The only animal that prays for miracles while creating its own disaster. Maybe that's what George Carlin meant all along. That the human race isn't some grand masterpiece. It's just a cosmic prank. A divine joke with 7 billion punchlines, and the funniest part, we still think we're the smartest ones in the room. You ever notice how people talk about God like he's some kind of celestial parent who's supposed to fix everything we screw up? A God will provide. A God will save us. A God has a plan. Yeah, maybe the plan was to let the human species crash and burn for entertainment. Maybe Earth isn't a divine experiment. Maybe it's just God's reality show and we're the cast that doesn't know we're being canceled next season. You look around and you gotta admit, if there's a God, he's got one hell of a sense of humor. Think about it. He gives us intelligence, but not enough to stop being idiots. He gives us free will, then watches us use it to destroy everything around us. He gives us curiosity, and what do we do with it? We build bombs, launch reality TV, and make entire religions based on who's right about the invisible man in the sky. If that's not divine irony, I don't know what is. People say, God works in mysterious ways. Yeah, mysterious and maybe sarcastic. Like maybe he's sitting up there thinking, oh, let's see what happens if I give these little apes the ability to talk. Oh, look, they invented politics and Twitter. We like to think of God as this wise, loving father figure watching over us. But what if he's more like that one uncle who tells dark jokes at family dinners and enjoys chaos? Because the way this world runs, it's so hard to imagine a serious architect behind it. You look at nature, earthquakes, diseases, predators, and then add humans on top of it, and it starts to look like a cosmic prank. Maybe the whole setup was just for laughs. Let's give them teeth that rot, spines that hurt, egos that explode, and brains that get anxious for no reason. Oh, and let's make them think they're divine. You ever hear people say, everything happens for a reason? Sure, but sometimes the reason is you're stupid and made a bad decision. Yet we drag God into it. God wanted this to happen, really? God wanted you to max out your credit cards and marry your ex. Maybe not. Maybe we're just blaming the Almighty for our own comedy routines. And here's the big cosmic joke. We argue about which version of God is the real one. Billions of people praying to billions of gods, all convinced they've got the right hotline to heaven. We fight wars, burn cities, and hate each other in the name of a being who supposedly loves everyone. You gotta admire the irony. The same people who preach love on Sunday are at war by Monday. Maybe God looks down and says, I gave them love, and they turned it into ammunition. It's like humanity has this ongoing habit of misunderstanding the script. Maybe the divine message was supposed to be a be kind, but we heard it be right. Maybe thou shalt not kill was meant literally, but we said, hey, unless it's for oil, land, or pride. You can almost imagine God checking the universe like, did they seriously just invent religion and miss the whole point? We worship symbols, not meaning. We argue over whose invisible friend is stronger. We build massive temples, gold crosses, million-dollar cathedrals, all for a God who supposedly told us to care about the poor. That's not faith, that's performance art. Humanity turned spirituality into a business plan, and somehow, God still hasn't pulled the plug. That's patience. Or amusement. Maybe divine irony is the idea that everything sacred we touch turns into a commercial. We took Christmas, the supposed birthday of the Prince of Peace, and turned it into a shopping marathon. We took a love thy neighbor and replaced it with outcompete thy neighbor. Maybe God's joke isn't on us individually. It's on our whole system. He gave us paradise, and we built parking lots. He gave us minds, and we filled them with commercials. And when something awful happens, a flood, a plague, a disaster, people rush to say, God is testing us. For what? We've been failing the same test for thousands of years. We know the machine's eating us alive, but we keep oiling it because we're afraid to lose our spot in line. We invented mirrors to look at ourselves, and now we use them to pose for selfies. That's evolution, human style. We went from staring into the water to make sure we weren't being eaten to staring into glass screens to make sure we look good, pretending to be happy. We don't want truth. We want a good angle. And here's the thing. We actually know better. That's what makes it tragic and funny. We know greed is bad, but we admire billionaires. We know politicians lie, but we still argue about which liar's our favorite. We know religion divides people, but we still draw lines in the sand and say, my invisible friend is better than yours. We know materialism is poison, but we keep buying the same junk, repackaged every year, because the commercial said it's new. We know all of this, and we keep playing along. That's the punchline. Self-awareness was supposed to be our superpower, but it turned out to be our curse. We can think about thinking, but that just means we can overthink everything. No other animal does that. You don't see lions having midlife crises or penguins stressing about retirement. But humans? Oh no, we've got anxiety, existential dread, identity crises. We can't just exist, we have to analyze existing. We've got people who can't sleep because they're worried about the meaning of life. Maybe the meaning of life is, stop worrying so much. We're the only species that feels guilty for being alive. Got people feeling bad for eating, breathing, existing. We've made morality into math. Am I a good person? Did I recycle enough? Did I meditate long enough? We measure virtue like calories now. That's how far we've taken awareness. We've turned it into another contest. We invented religion to explain life, then science to explain religion, then philosophy to explain science, and now we've got social media to explain philosophy. Every generation thinks it's smarter than the last, but all we really do is rename our stupidity. Cavemen drew on walls, we post memes. Same impulse, better Wi-Fi. And you ever notice how people say humans are evolving? Into what exactly? We can't even go 5 minutes without checking our phone. We're half-conscious, dopamine-chasing zombies staring at glowing rectangles, convincing ourselves we're connected. We've got the entire sum of human knowledge in our pockets, and we use it to argue about celebrities and conspiracy theories. We call that progress. We invented the internet, a tool that could have united the world, and instead we use it to compare breakfast photos and fight strangers in the comments. That's human evolution. From survival of the fittest to survival of the loudest. And what's our response to all this? We make jokes about it. That's our coping mechanism. We meme our misery. We hashtag our hopelessness. We make TikToks about depression. We've turned pain into punchlines and chaos into content. And we're the only species that can look straight into the abyss and go, this would make a great post. We can't stop observing ourselves, and we can't stop performing. Every thought, every emotion, every tragedy gets turned into something for show. We used to live life. Now we broadcast it. We've replaced experience with evidence. If it's not recorded, it didn't happen. Maybe that's the final stage of self-awareness. We don't even feel anymore unless it's validated. And maybe that's the biggest joke of all, that we got exactly what we wanted. We wanted to be gods. We wanted to create, to control, to understand, and now we can. We've created machines that think realities that don't exist, worlds we can't escape, and somehow we're still lonely. We become gods in a sandbox, bored with our own power. We know everything except how to be content. We can calculate the age of the universe, but we can't handle silence in a room. We've got people who can build rockets but can't hold a conversation. We can send data across galaxies but can't say sorry to the person next to us. We know so much and understand so little. That's why self-awareness is the punchline. We're smart enough to see the problem but too proud to fix it. We can laugh at ourselves, but we never learn. We say, that's just the way things are, as if we didn't build them that way. We are the species that can recognize its insanity and still refuses therapy. So here we are, the great human race, aware, intelligent, and utterly lost. Staring at our reflection, knowing it's ridiculous, and somehow still impressed by it. That's not tragedy. That's divine comedy. That's the universe's greatest joke, and we're all in on it, whether we admit it or not.